Did you ever meet Timothy McVeigh?
No.
Did you ever see him in court or in the distance any place?
No. And he died cold, arrogant, and unfeeling, and he killed 19 little kids. I never wanted to use his name, never did. But the people who were killed, a number of them I knew because they were the worst day in the history of the United States Secret Service was that day. 6 people, 6 Secret Service employees were killed, including a number of agents. And it remains, I can say this as an ex-FBI agent, the largest criminal case ever handled by the FBI. Because, here, tragically, the worst terrorist event occurred. Domestic, Oklahoma City still ranks. But there were no people to prosecute. Right. In Oak City, McVeigh was the principal defendant, and
what do you think that
no one misses him?
What do you think Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols targeted the state and the great people of Oklahoma?
I think by accident. Remember Waco, the Branch Davidian compound attack, where quite truthfully the target shot back. I mean, it was over a gun violation. Should you raid a place, and a lot of tragedy occurred there. But in McVeigh's view, this was the U.S. government at its most evil, and I'm going to find a vulnerable site, and I'm going to take revenge.
So you think
because it was vulnerable site was the federal building in Oklahoma City.
So you think it was because it was not too far away, distance-wise, from Waco?
Yeah, and I think he wanted to find a mid-sized city that he could make a statement, and he made a statement. But he was from Michigan. And what's interesting, when the first suggestion was this was a Muslim terrorist event, who was McVeigh? A fall-away Catholic from Michigan, an Irishman with the same heritage I have. Just such an evil thing. But
Nichols was from Michigan. I think McVeigh was from upstate New York.
Well, originally.
Okay.
Right, that is true, originally. But it was just, for me, incomprehensible that someone would do that. I had a physician tell me not too long ago who was there. He said, the hardest, most agonizing thing for us was to see just rows of dead children's bodies on park benches. Little kids. It was a daycare center that was blown up.
What did you think? Why do you think that McVeigh didn't fit the description of the 2 people renting the Ryder truck?
I don't know. I've always found from my experience that eyewitness testimony frequently is not very accurate. But, remember this, anybody who thinks there was a conspiracy in any event, evil event like the Oklahoma City bombing, there's no statute of limitations for murder. So in other words, you find somebody 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you can still go after them. And Bob Ricks, who was SAC, Special Agent in charge of the FBI in Oak City, when the bombing occurred, I made him commissioner of the Department of Public Safety. And Bob said that to me several times. He said, every lead the Bureau and or the locals follow up with, but they just see no more except that little circle.
But on that note, there's supposedly 20 eyewitnesses were unanimous in telling the FBI that McVeigh wasn't alone the morning of the bombing. Why would none of those people ever apprehended? And also, none of the people seen with McVeigh at the hotel ever captured. What is your opinion?
Well, I think the easy answer is that apparently the investigation took place and they were not found to be materially involved. I mean, Nichols clearly was. There were a couple others that were clearly involved, but they, obviously were prosecuted, and some were of assistance to the Bureau in the investigation. But, it's kind of like when Robert Kennedy was killed. When President Kennedy was killed. I was a student at Georgetown at the time, but when President Kennedy was killed, somebody said, do you think if it were a conspiracy that whoever did it will get away, they'll look the other way? And I said, really? The Attorney General is his brother? I mean, that guy's going to go to his grave making sure he got who was responsible. And everybody in Oklahoma City, the people who were killed, a number of them I knew well. I was HUD's general counsel, and we lost at HUD in Oak City at the office there. Everybody was killed. Secretaries, the legal assistants, the head person in the office. Well, I mean, would any of us sit by and think, well, we got one person, that's enough. Hell, if there are 5 people, 10 people, let's go get them. That's just the way I feel, because, no one has a past when they do something so cruel and so senseless.